shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Have you ever heard that before? Even if you're not a Bible person or came from that tradition, it's something we've heard before. And our founder of Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes, said, Jesus implies that there's a truth which, when known, will automatically demonstrate in our experience. What could this truth be other than a consciousness of our union with life? This pattern of truth lies in the communion of the soul with its source, a conscious union of us with the divine, with the God of your understanding, and the union of the heart's desire with the source of its being. This month in the Centers for Spiritual Living, the theme has been Speak Truth to Circumstance. And my title today is Speaking Truth. And it's interesting, as I was writing this talk and thinking about it, I thought, speaking truth, well, it's more than speaking truth. It's also, what are we thinking? What thoughts are we thinking? Are they our truth? Are they truth? And am I being true to who I really am? So there's a lot around that idea of truth, which reminds me of gold nuggets. If you hear something today that you want to jot down and share as a gold nugget at the end. So the truth is, you are a whole, complete expression of divine importance. Whenever I hear that, it makes me sit up straight. You are a whole, complete expression of divine importance, just as you are. Hear that, please. Wholeness implies a state of integrated being. The sum of the part is always greater than any particular part by itself, right? So you may wonder and ask, well, how do we get to a state of wholeness when the circumstances in my life are challenging? Whether that's illness, pain, emotional or physical, lack, limitation. It's all part of our life circumstance. So the mindset of, oh, I'll be happy or whole or complete when I'm no longer suffering, or when I get that job, when I attract that partner, when I have money in the bank, then I'll be happy. But the interesting thing is that mindset keeps us in the perpetual state of wanting. And some part of us, the whole of us, is resisting. You ever felt like you resisted something? And this resistance stops an important part of us that serves as a teacher on this journey of life. It's really, 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 really important to be aware of that voice that resists. The one that says, there's something wrong with me. It's always been this way. I'll never be able to change. Or, I am not worthy. You ever had that one? Remember last week, Mitch, our great speaker from last week, he gave us the worthy test. So take a breath in. Take a breath out. Good, you all passed. You're all worthy. Now, do I always love the circumstances that show up in my life? No. Do you? No. Right? But how can we be welcoming? How could we be welcoming to whatever is? There's many books written, Loving What Is, about that. And knowing that behind whatever is, there's a greater truth. That's what we teach here. Behind it all, behind the appearance, there's a greater truth and freedom. The great mystic Rumi said the wound is the place where the light enters you. So my friend Jan Adrian, who is the director of an organization called Healing Journeys, which creates free events for people dealing with cancer and their families, big events with speakers and music, and it's been all over the country. And I've been a presenter for her quite a few times years ago. And Jan just recently wrote a book called Coloring Outside the Lines, Surviving and Thriving with Cancer for 30 plus years. She says a diagnosis can create fear or curiosity. She went from fighting to fortifying from the inside. She says what we do matters. She learned to say yes and be aware of her finite self that had cancer, yes. But more importantly, she learned to connect with the infinite self of her. And she truly believes in her book, she says, that things don't happen to me, they happen for me. Coloring outside the lines. So think about a circumstance in your life, for yourself. Something you may not really care for. And just close your eyes for a moment, take a breath. And can you just entertain the idea of welcoming whatever it is? Just be with it for a moment. Where does your mind go when you're challenged? What is your first thought when you're in a conflict? What fills your mind in empty moments? Notice your inner dialogue. Is it negative and demeaning? Or is it open to curious and positive ideas? So can you just be welcoming to the possibility of something different in this situation or circumstance? Just imagine it. Just imagine it. Use your imagination, which is a great tool of our mind. Consider this. If you can't imagine the possibility, you'll never create the opportunity. Yeah. I bless the place where I now stand. I just bless it. So take a breath, open your eyes. That's another little subtle shifty thing, isn't it? As we did in the meditation. To pause, pay attention to where are my thoughts going. So let's talk about the ego and the soul. We all know about the ego. We need an ego. But the ego can sometimes have a mind of its own. I know for me, when I only come from my ego self, I feel like I'm manipulating and pushing, and it feels restrictive. It feels like I'm forcing something. Anybody relate to that? We've all done it. And yet when I can come from my soul presence, there's a feeling of expansion, breath, flow, alignment to the truth of who I am. There's a feeling of love. You are a whole, complete expression of divine importance. Notice what your mind says to you when you hear that. Not me. Or, yeah, I'll take that. Let's say that together as an I am. Repeat after me. I am a whole, complete expression.
I am a whole, complete expression
of divine importance.
Of divine importance.
And that's the truth.
And that's the truth.
Some of you are laughing and smiling. The famous novelist Herman Melville wrote Moby Dick. Do you remember that book? And he made this statement: life is a voyage that's homeward bound. Think about what kind of journey is this life? And what exactly does home mean? And perhaps more importantly of all, how do we get there? Well, I like to think of home as a state of being or state of consciousness. And Paramahansa Yogananda, the great Indian mystic, said that as human beings, we experience 5 states of mind. And we all travel on these as an inner journey that takes us from darkness to light, from illusion to illumination, from ego to soul, and from a foreign land to our true eternal home. I don't know about you, but when things seem to fall apart in my world, can I ask myself, Is there something greater trying to emerge? Can you stay curious? Whether it's your health, a relationship, a job, the government. Chaos often precedes a new order. I know we've heard that before. We don't like the chaos. But it often precedes a new order. Think about the caterpillar. On the point of becoming, it's a mushy mess. It's a mushy, mushy mess. And then the transformation happens and a butterfly emerges. What a miracle that is. Transformation is possible if you believe it. Because it can be really dangerous to only see things at the effect level. Poor me, have a pity party. I had a pity party the other day. And not be open to the divine cause or the possibility behind whatever it is we're unhappy with. Because when we can see through the appearance and are willing to see it from a broader perspective from above, we can live in greater freedom and well-being. One of my favorite metaphysical teachers, I've taught this class many times, the foundation of mysticism, is Joel Goldsmith. He has something to say about this. Have that mind in you, which was also in Christ Jesus. We've heard that. How do you have it? By your contact with the mind of God. How do you have contact with the mind of God? By knowing the truth. And the truth is, the mind of God is my mind, the life of God is my life, and because the mind of God is my mind, if I didn't have any education, I'd still have all the intelligence in the world, and it will tell me everything I need to know. That's good food for thought, huh? And in our textbook, Ernest Holmes says, we are limited only because we have not known the truth. We have thought that outside things controlled us, when all the time we have that within, which could have changed everything and given us freedom from bondage. He says, we should definitely daily, using your own name, declare the truth about yourself, as we're doing when we read those affirmations. Realizing that you are reflecting your statements into the consciousness, the law, and that they will be operated upon by it. That's the way the law works. And this is called in mysticism high invocation. High invocation. Invoking the divine mind, implanting within it seeds of thought relative to ourself. Yes, yes, yes. I am a whole, complete expression of divine importance. Let's plant that seed. I am a whole, complete expression of divine importance. And again, this points out the importance of our daily spiritual practices, doesn't it? We have to go to the well, as my teacher Lloyd Tupper used to say. Go to the well daily. Go to the well daily. Speak your name aloud and declare your truth. It works, but you have to do it. You have to speak it. We also use in this philosophy denials and affirmations. That was in Emma Curtis Hopkins' biggie, the denials and affirmations. Because there's many ways that we can speak truth to a circumstance. You can be short and direct and say, no, I do not accept this. I don't have time for this in my life. This is not my truth. I learned that one from Lloyd Tupper, my teacher, when someone was speaking to him or he would see something going on that was not in his consciousness or somebody was ranting about something, he would be silently saying to himself, that's not my truth. That's not my truth. And allow people to do what they need to do, but claim for yourself it isn't your truth if you want to. And again, you're planting a seed in the universal mind. And then state the condition you do want. And stick with that. That's one of our assignments in this class, the journey of the soul is to notice, are we paying more attention to what it is we're wanting or what we're not having or what we don't have? And when we can get over that 51% of spending our time in the knowing that it's already here somewhere, it's coming, things will shift. So with practice, we can approach any circumstance from a neutral place. It's not necessarily easy. That's why we have licensed practitioners, coaches, counselors, people to support us in knowing and remembering our truth. Unless you want to have a pity party. Maybe we should just have a pity party some Sunday. And all come in and just complain, and then we'll do something to let it go. Yesterday I gave a workshop here on the 4 elements, and we threw things into the fire, the imaginary fire, things that don't work for us. There's many shamanic ways to let go of stuff. In ritual is very powerful, and it creates an opening and a space in our psyche and in our soul and in our whole being when we physically can let go of something. So if you need support with that, talk to me about it. I am like the queen of ritual, and I can help you there. Because when we start to change that resistance, it changes our internal messaging system, and it supports our wholeness, and it supports that divine truth, which then opens us to our eternal nature, our soul essence, and our divinity, our home. Then we go home. We then lovingly give ourselves room to breathe within the circumstance of illness or limitation, even if it's happening. And we can explore the revealing of the healing of the truth. It's interesting, in Science of Mind, one of the things we often say is there's nothing to be healed, only the truth to be revealed. That's something we had to memorize as practitioners. I think Amada will remember that. Because the cracks are indeed where the light gets in. Take a breath. But it's being connected to that source of all. So Joel Goldsmith says to remember the coconut tree. So have that image in your mind. The coconut of itself doesn't have enough of anything except by virtue of its contact with the tree. The invisible life of the tree is pouring itself into the coconut as it becomes the hard shell, the soft meat, and the liquid milk. Oh, the coconut could say, as my own self, I am nothing. Ah, yes, but the truth is, I abide in this tree, and all that this tree has is mine. And there, again, we have given ourselves a good treatment about the sense of separation from the source of all good. So now we find that God is the intelligence of this universe, and I and my Father are one. And then the God intelligence pours itself into expression as my individual intelligence, just as the life of the coconut tree pours itself into the coconut as its milk, its meat, and its shell. We are always connected to the coconut tree. I am a whole, complete expression of divine importance. I am a whole, complete expression of divine importance. And that's the truth. That's the truth of who you are. I hold that for each of you, even if you can't right now. That's my job as my training as a minister and practitioner and spiritual guidance. That I can hold that for you. So please ask for prayer, support whenever you need it. And Amada as well. So let's take that into prayer. Take a breath with me. Let go, exhale. We drop into the sacred holy moment of now, recognizing that we are rooting into the depths of our faith, connecting in consciousness and in heart to the greater good, connecting to that omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient source of all. God, Spirit, the divine, connecting to that infinite intelligence, wholeness, loving, peaceful, wise, harmonious, abundant. And knowing that this presence is in and through me as me, I absolutely know that this presence is in and through each of you as you. We are each beautiful instruments in this divine symphony of life, playing our tune the best we can, and being open and receptive to welcome a greater good. So I know and claim today that there has been a shift in consciousness for each of us to be available to that something greater for the physical body, the mental body, the emotional body, the spiritual body. That everything's coming into harmony and balance right now. That is the truth. That is the spiritual truth that I know right now. And so we can relax and let go of what no longer serves us. Let go and let God. Let love. Speak our truth in the high invocation. Daily, moment by moment, remember who we are. That is my knowing for you this week, that you are able to do that on your own. Yes, you are. And so with such joy in my heart, I simply release my word into the creative soil of the infinite mind, knowing it is already done, is already happened. We let go, we let God, and join me together in affirming, and so it is.